Welcome back, family. Oh my gosh, welcome back. Y'all, welcome back. Hey, y'all, and welcome to Let's Talk Sis. I'm Shekinah, your host, and as we spend time together, I can promise you three things. I'll be honest, I'll make you laugh, and I won't hold back. Let's Talk Sis is your essential girl talk destination where you'll hear about life from the perspective of a black woman in America, as our stories often go untold. I can assure you, while honest, we are a community for growth and love. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk, sis. We've also, in this, clip, alluded to the potential of this being generational, right? This happened to them, and then probably their mom and their mom's mom, So how do we break that cycle? How do we come against this continuing to affect our families and continuing to affect our children? And obviously we can't control the behaviors of a predator, right? But there's something to, I have a lot of thoughts. So, as we just said, if this did happen to mom, it's still within her, right? So there's probably something mom has done or subconsciously doing to attract this predator now into the family, to then affect, potentially harm the child, right? So now that child's harmed, and that child grows up and still has that trauma within them. So therefore, they're still going to attract a predator, and it just keeps going. So what do we do?
We began to normalize the conversation.
Yeah.
We have to talk about what's happening. We have to, if I, even me, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. If I hadn't seen another friend, close family friend go through it, and then hear all the talk, I don't think I would have been able to survive. I think I would have been able to succumb to it and, engage in the behaviors that because again, especially when you're in that age of sexuality. Ashley was at an age of sexuality, 16, 17. Like that's when you're coming into that, owning all the things that have happened to my body. My breasts are bigger, my boobs, are looking great. I put on this bikini and all the things. But that doesn't invite you, the predator, to come and try to take advantage of who I am.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like having the dialogue, making the child aware, and then giving them that safe space to come and have the dialogue. In this particular example, it's tremendously hard because again, this is family. This ain't what family do. This is not what I expect from. I expect that if it's gonna happen to come from Joey out there somewhere.
Right.
Not my uncle.
Can you give us some language for anyone who has gone through this and needs to tell somebody but doesn't know where to start, doesn't want to offend, right? Because a lot of times as the person who's gone through the offense, you don't want to affect everybody else, right? You know how bad it is for you to deal with it and how much you're internally dealing with. And then you see auntie and uncle, they already arguing, and mom's over here doing this. And so how does one approach that situation? And I'm sure it starts probably, with themselves, but then how do you bring that up to the family? And what confidence can you give them, that it's okay to do that, whether they're received or not?
Yeah, and that's hard because in our human psyche, we all want to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
We all want acceptance, right? And I'm sure, like she said, initially, everyone was there for her and she felt like she could trust them. I think it was by accident that this came out because she didn't come forward. Her parents happened to see something on the phone that disturbed them.
Yeah, true.
And took it to her to say, what's going on? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening? And from there, she began to tell her story. So it's not necessarily that she was even ready to tell
Right.
the story.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but again, helping our children to understand the difference between a good touch, a bad
Mhm.
touch, helping them to understand good language, bad language. We had an incident where the parents and calling things what they are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The parents, we had an incident where a young lady, the parents called her private parts, her vagina, her breast, cookies.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Cookies. Don't share cookies. The child, knowing this language, goes to school and says, my uncle wants me to share my cookies, but I don't want to give him any of my cookies.
Mm. And they
Teacher,
thinking Chips Ahoy.
yes, the teacher not knowing says, but
Ooh.
it's nice to share your cookies. Don't be
Mm.
mean. Let your uncle have some of your cookies.
Mm.
And
Mm.
the child now is in this back and forth because in her
Wow.
mind, cookies
Wow.
means my vagina and my breast.
Wow.
Teacher, like you said, is thinking Chips Ahoy, Nutty Butters,
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, like giving appropriate language. Let's call it what it is. Let's make sure that we are on the same page, giving examples, doing role plays, making sure that the child knows what's appropriate and what's
It's not.
inappropriate. And
Yeah.
also giving space for them to ask the questions,
Mhm.
for them to gain knowledge, for them to gain an understanding, for them to have um, a safe space
Mhm.
for this type of conversation. And as long as a lot of the recovery happens when the child has a safe space. So if the parents were on board, if the parents were there supporting this child, even if the aunt did all the things that the aunt did,
Right.
the child can still function because they have this place that there's acceptance, that there's love, that there's honor, that there's belief
Right.
in what's happened. And so many times it took so much for me with the parents to even believe that your child was telling the truth.
Because why would they lie about this?
They're just a troublemaker. They always stir in trouble. They've seen us on TV. And so they want to
Mm.
put us into our family home and disrupt everything we got going on.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Because maybe the boyfriend is the breadwinner and mom hasn't worked, and this is how our mortgage gets paid and things happen, and if I let him go, then I don't know how that's going to happen. So why are you trying to disrupt our family?
And I love that you said that because it just kind of clicked some things for me is what do we need to do to get you out of your own way? Right? Like, what is your anxiety going to come into play? Okay. So, what is the plan for when an anxiety attack hits? Is your procrastination going to come into play? So, what is the plan for when your procrastination hits? And I think that's kind of what I was trying to say, what didn't really say on my first episode back with this new season is I had to figure out how to get out of my own way with posting episodes, right? And creating episodes because for me it is procrastination. I'm like, all right, I'll get to it tomorrow, I'll get to it tomorrow. And then it's 3 hours before the episode needs to be due and I still haven't done anything, right? So now I'm like, let me get it done. But I had to peel back some things, peel back some expectations in keeping with what you're saying. I'm not the editing guru. I'm not the social media ad guru. I'm not that person, but I do have these strengths and I do have this goal and this desire of mine, to be consistent with the podcasting. So what did I have to do to get out of my own way? I got to schedule a guest. So there's some accountability there for me. The Ingrid's looking for me on the Zoom call, girl. You got to get up. Like, even I'll just be fully transparent. This morning I woke up, I'm like, all right, what I got to do today? Okay, I don't really feel like potting, but I'm not going to cancel on her. I got to get it up. We're going to get the episode. And like, as it came closer, I felt good about it because I took a lot of the work out of it, right? Like I just had to put my hair up in a little bun, do some edges, and boom, I'm on the podcast, right? And that made it a lot easier for me versus and producing the episodes every week, right? Like coming up with these topics. What are we going to talk about every single week? What's relevant? Well, now it's easier for me because Ingrid is a totally different person than the guest I had on last week. So we can just get into Ingrid's business and, ask her questions about herself. So, these things for me help just me not getting in my own way of the procrastinating. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's just things can kind of flow a little bit more organically and naturally for me. And I think that's so valuable, for anybody starting a new project or business. Be real with yourself. Who are you really, showing up to this platform, showing up to this stage? And all right, now let's, like you're saying, just pivot a little bit, or restructure, or we rework some things so that you can still get what you want, but you're not the thing you're fighting, because you can't fight, like you said, you can't fight your own anxiety. Your mind gonna be worried about them bills regardless. So do what you need to do to get that check. Okay, that's out the way, and then continue to work towards and build your goals. You kind of touched on this a little bit, and I just want to know, what advice would you give somebody, who's in that transition phase, or maybe they've been doing something for 5 or 6 years, but they're like, something's not working, something's not clicking, or it's too much. I need to figure something out. That they're just kind of in that weird, ambiguous phase in their business. What advice would you give to them?
I genuinely recognize that most individuals put who they are last.
Mm,
So I would advise you to sit down and come up with how exactly you want your life to look moving forward. We all know what we've been through, and
yeah.
we all know that if you set your mind there, it will repeat. Trust me, my dating life is an active experiment of constantly repeating the same every single time. Like they
Oh.
are all the same dude.
Yes.
While the internet tries to thirst trap me in believing that men know how to plan dates, my lived experiences, no, they don't.
You got to change your mindset.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Or just let them know plainly with words out my face. I want you to plan a date.
Period.
I can do that as well, depending on what responsibilities I want to take on moving forward.
Yes.
But I think the best advice that I can give anyone in pursuit of change, meaning you have been experiencing something repeatedly and it's no longer serving your life,
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer serving your day,
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer serving your hour, even.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make one incremental, like tiny baby step that is going to serve you as a person.
That's really good advice.
And when you start serving yourself as a person, like I told one of my friends, just drop your kids off with the husband already. I understand this is mommy's responsibility in our culture, but drop those little ninjas
Yes.
with the other part and just go sit in a park with a book.
What are some misconceptions that people have about social workers? Can you address some of those, or some common things that people think you do but you don't actually do?
So I know one of the biggest common misconceptions of social workers is that we just, they just take people kids, or
Mhm.
that they just listen to people talk about their problems.
Mhm.
And yes, and yes, but it's a lot more to that. The social
Uh-huh.
worker is there to listen, but then, okay, how can we help? How can I be of service to you so that way we can fix this problem? So, um, I think if people looked at social work more as serving, and serving a community or serving a population, then they would see that you kind of do a lot to meet these customers' needs, stuff that,
Mm.
it's not just listening to their problems. Like when I worked in foster care, I had to take the kids to the dentist. I had to pick them up
Mm.
and drop them off at school. Like I was literally their almost guardian, because they were
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
ward of the state at this time. So
Mm.
it was more than just listening, to the children or listening to the parents. It was especially case management. Case management is so much, because you are literally managing these people's lives, but you have your own life to manage as well.
Right.
You
Right.
have your
Right.
own life
Right.
to manage, but they they require so much because they're not starting at the same point you are. They're, not, they're starting from a different point, and it takes a lot to help these, whatever area, because there's many different areas of social work. So whatever area you're in, it's not going to be just snatch the kids or listen to their problem. It's going to be basically all hands in, and you're going to be really as if, their life is kind of like your life. You're helping them, and you can't do it for them, but you are one of their biggest, supports, or their biggest, they lean on you kind of for a lot. And
For a
so
lot of different things. You touch on a lot of really good things because I've never been married a day in my life. And I am still learning, like you said, okay, what do I like? What are the things that I actually enjoy? And we grow up and our parents and our outside influences, they mean well, by trying to give us these guidelines or these expectations or goals or metrics or whatever to hit in life and to be in life and to accomplish in life. But there is something in you that has to like click and say, okay, I hear you, but like this is what I want to do and
Mhm.
this is how I'm going to do it, right? And we're fortunate to find people that embrace that, like you said, that accept that and that don't try to criticize or nitpick how we want to live our lives, and being women, being Black women, it's hard a lot of times to stand fully in, no, I don't like to cook, and that is okay. Right.
Yeah.
And it's the second part that we struggle with. It's the that's okay part that's very hard a lot of times to reconcile because we have all these people. Well, if you ain't cooking for them, somebody else gonna cook for them, or that's what a good wife does, and that your grandmother would never, or whatever the
Right.
rhetoric is. And it's like, no, we gonna do this how we're gonna, this is our marriage, right? I am me, he is who he is, and God willing, like you said, we can morph together. And I think that's beautiful, that you have somebody in your life that is embracing those factors and willing to learn, okay, this may be what I thought it was going to be, but this is actually what it is. So how can we work with that? And so I think a lot of women can really appreciate that testimony, and hopefully embrace it for themselves and, take a look at, okay, well, do I even like eggs? First of all, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing all of this stuff and I don't even like this thing. And we deserve to take a beat, to take a minute and see, what we love. So definitely answered the question.
That can I say something on what you
Yeah.
just said about how our parents and different things influence our life? I remember this so well. And I mean, it wasn't 100 years ago that my mom said this. It was maybe 25, close to 100.
Mhm.
But we together, we had been married maybe 10 years maybe, and we were trying to make this work. You're supposed to put your money together, you're supposed to budget together, you're supposed to do all this. And we tried that,
Mhm.
and it
Mhm.
almost killed us. It just did.
Yeah.
He would write a check but wouldn't tell me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
These type of things. We finally split our accounts.
Mm.
This what you gonna do, this what I'm gonna do. I got this, you got that. And I remember my mom telling me years later, she said, y'all don't put your money together? Not the old traditional way like you think. And she said, you need to put your money together. I said, I can't, it doesn't work for us.
Mhm.
That does
Mhm.
not work for us. That worked for you. It doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
And even today,
That's just not how you do it.
it's not how we do it. And I remember going to a bank. Now, our names are in each other accounts,
Sure.
which is wisdom.
Mhm.
But I went to his bank and I had to get some money out. And the guy knows my husband.
Mhm.
He said, man, your wife came and got some money out your account. Yeah. He said, you're not worried? No. He said, I would never give my wife my account number.
Ooh.
He was like, my wife will never take from me either.
Ooh.
So that's the
Different
difference.
strokes for different folks. we're talking about getting older and wiser, you know, and just being more confident in who we are and our patterns and things like that. And a lot of times, at least I know for me, imposter syndrome has shown up, especially right now for me in this season, just because it's a new season for me. I'm not everything's changed essentially, and so you can lose a lot of confidence, right? And you can forget what you bring to the table. So how do you kind of deal with, or do you have moments where you experience imposter syndrome, and how do you kind of overcome that?
Oh my gosh. I had to overcome that with Soul
Mm-hmm.
Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
That was doing something that, yeah, I knew I could do, but I was scared to do. I was scared to just take that leap. And I think once I did that, I realized you have the power, like the power is in my hand.
Yeah.
Like I can make shit go. You
Okay.
know, like I literally,
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we limit ourselves to what we can do because either we don't know anyone close enough to do it or no one's really doing it, or and I think
Yeah.
that's there's it's bittersweet because
Mm-hmm.
when you like being able to have So Sunday as a brand and do this and it's new and it's fresh to people, it feels as if like I was born to be doing it because it's flowing
Mm-hmm.
naturally.
It just
It's flowing,
comes to
and
you.
and God has allowed
Yeah.
me to flow in it naturally and come up with the ideas and have the connections. Like every moment up until now in my life led me to be doing what I'm doing. Every
Yes.
moment. So
Yes.
like I had to literally look at that and say, okay, like and I don't know where I read it at, but it was just saying that imposter syndrome is literally just fear. And I'm like, I'm not fearful.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
not
Right.
me. Like I'm not even that type of girl to be scared of
Mm-hmm.
something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I approach every day. Like anything
Yeah.
that I thought I was scared of, I want to try it. Like I remember
Yeah.
I was studying abroad and
I'm gonna do it.
they went snorkeling and I was scared. I was so, so scared at first, but I said, I'm going to do it anyway. And I remember jumping out in that water. Honey, I might
Yeah.
have had 2 life vests on, but I jumped out in the water
But I was in the water.
and I did it. And that's how I
Yeah.
approach everything because I'm not about
Mhm.
to like leave this earth having
Yeah.
I just that's like the R word, regrets. I don't
Yeah.
those. I know so many people, and maybe you can attest to this too. Like they're our age, and like they're always reflecting on high school, or always
Mhm.
reflecting on like just younger days, and it's just like
Yeah.
create something now. Like
To
you have so
do.
much more life to live. Like let's not just reflect
Mhm.
on the past. Like let's
Mhm.
that's there, but like
Yeah.
make something out of right now.
You're kind of getting into it a little bit, but tell me what is that the mindset shift, from like you said, I went to college. I went to school, I'm highly educated, I put my time in those books, I got my credit hours. What is the mindset shift of going from what we would call a corporate girly to now being a female boss entrepreneur? Not only are you building a career for yourself, but you're building a network and a corporation to bring other people along. What do you have to do to really shift your mind to confidently, like you said, walk through that door? And that must be the theme of today's episode, confidence. But
I
but
love it.
talk to me a little bit about that.
So the mindset shift in two ways. The mindset shift, there was a mindset expansion and shift from me thinking that college was the means to working for somebody else.
Yep.
That was my first, like, wait a minute, I got a degree. I was really proud of that.
Yep.
Because of my story to go back and finish
You
school.
should be.
Thank you. And so I'm like, I did this degree to get the job. So once I recognized that the degree is not in vain, in fact, it's really valuable and that much more so helpful for me to be an entrepreneur, that eliminated the barrier of, well, I'm not going to go and go that direction because I put in so much to be corporate. It's I'm sorry, please.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to emphasize that point because a lot of us, especially Black women,
Hmm.
we are raised to go to school to get the job, right? And
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that trajectory, but I think is a powerful mindset shift to, in fact, you can do both, right? You can go to school and get a degree and be an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of times the rhetoric nowadays is pick one or the other. There's no point in going to school and wasting your money on all those degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You can just get the experience, and
Mm-hmm.
there's, well, the experience ain't gonna do no good because they're not gonna look at your resume if they don't have the degree. So I think it's a cool point to give people permission, if you will, to
Mm-hmm.
embrace all facets of it. You
Yeah.
can have gone to school and put in that time and be educated. And like you're saying, now that education can support whatever those natural talents, desires, skills, etc., that you have in an entrepreneurial space. So I just wanted to, kind of point that out and yeah, free some people. Amen.
Listen, I love this conversation, girl, because I'm like, look, we talked about this yesterday. What's a chat GPT where it's unlocking? It's unlocking. And I
Okay.
hope this
Yes.
is helpful. So I'm so excited. So a couple of points. Yes. See, reimagine what college is, the purpose of it, and what it can do for you.
Yep.
And I have 2 children in college right now. And so that alone, I am explaining to my kids and to other people, I am not sending my children to college for the purpose of them getting a job, because they can come and work for me. I'm running companies. We
Okay.
have, I'm going to have, we're running companies. So my kids going to have a job. But what I was not able to give my children when I was raising them was experiences traveling, experiences with higher economic groups, experiences with managing money and understanding the economy and the impact and social justice. I didn't have that. And them being in school puts them with peers that come from all around the world. And in 4 years, they can get experience through their relationships with
Right.
others that are like-minded
Right.
more than they could have had, that I was able to give them. So for me, it is like, go to school, meet you some friends. This is a joke, but it's real. Go to school and meet you some friends that got boats.
If there are women out there who have been told, you can't wear this or you shouldn't be that doing that, we are here to encourage you, be sexy, be what you want to be, and
That's right.
find designers like Sonia, find people like myself who encourage and uplift what you are already thinking about yourself. Don't engage in those people, who are telling you can't do something. So
Right.
you kind of touched on it a little bit, but tell me, like, over these past 30 years, how has the industry changed? What are you most proud of, about where fashion has come today? Because we do have people like Lizzo and Big Sexy who are advocating, for the plus size fashion.
I think
Or has
my
it changed? Look, let me not assume.
Okay, so what I will say is that it's several different things that I can touch on. Number one is because my focus is now on sustainability. I've been sewing sustainably my whole career, but it wasn't until um like the early 2000s, I'll say between like 2015, that I really started focusing on using the Ankara print, which is 100% cotton. And then I'll say about 2018, 2019, I started using like hemp. And then I would say in 2020, I kind of put together my whole business idea of the self love and the sustainable fashion in one place. And that kind of stemmed from the 30 years of working with people, especially women, not feeling fulfilled and happy. And so going into me really locking in on sustainability, now I'm doing research around not just the textiles, but the industry itself. How garment workers are 4 out of 5 garment workers are women, and most of them are not being paid a fair wage. So when you look at fashion over the years, fast fashion has become the thing, and I'm talking about Sheen, H&M, Temu,
Yeah.
Fashion Nova, where back in the day you had like maybe 2 seasons. You had the fall and the spring. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
had the fashion week, because in the
Mm-hmm.
spring they're showing you what's going to be in the fall. In the fall they're showing you what's in the spring.
Sure.
Now with
It's
fast
the stuff.
fashion, it's just consistently overproducing.
So
Yeah.
because I've been doing work around sustainability, I see the tons and tons of our waste going to places like Ghana, going to
Mm,
places like India, and it's waste because people
yeah.
are sending their old stuff that can't be recycled, that's just basically filling the landfill. So for me,
Mm,
I see overconsumption
mm,
of fashion. I see cheaply made things that are harmful to our bodies. I don't want to get into the medical side of it because I'm not a doctor, but my background is biology. And with me working in a spa and having eczema, it's a lot of things. I do a lot of research on things, and a lot
yeah.
of chemicals that they put in the clothing are carcinogens, or
Yeah.
they call them endocrine disruptors. So, like for
Mm,
example, everyone has the potential to have cancer in their body,
mm-hmm.
but something will wake it up. Like something will
Mm,
disturb it to cause that overproduction of that cancerous cell. So a
wow.
lot of times it could be anything from nail polish to
Mm-hmm.
lipstick to
Mm-hmm.
a shirt you put on to a body spray to something you eat could really cause a health condition in your body. And so for
Wow.
me, I see how toxic a lot of clothes are that are
Yeah.
being produced at a cheaper rate.
Mm,
So for me it goes beyond what something looks like I look at the textile, like how it's produced, like was it produced in a factory by a woman that was not being paid a fair wage. And I can
yeah.
speak to that because I worked in a factory before. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely loved the experience I had because it gave me an industrial
Sure.
experience, so it
Mm-hmm.
tied me a little bit to what some of these garment workers are doing around the world. I can say the company I worked for was a great company. I
Sure.
learned a lot. But one thing I will also say is that the average rate for a sewer at the time that I worked at this company was 12.46. But even though I had over maybe 20 something years of experience at the time I worked there, they would not budge from $12. So they
And
would
that's
not give
nothing.
me that 46 cents that was the national average. So again, here I am, a woman being paid below average for my skill set that is above average. Because
Mm-hmm.
people were coming in off the street, maybe making like $11, or a little bit more. But I mean, you train them for 2 or 3 days, and now
Sure.
they're making the same thing I'm making, and I'm
Yeah.
only making $1 more. To me, I didn't feel like that was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I charge $80 an hour for a sewing class. So
Mm-hmm.
to go and sit somewhere doing manual labor, bend over machine for twelve
Right.
dollars when I could have somebody and just use my intellectual property for $80, you know what I'm
Correct.
saying? My customs start at like 200. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And
Right.
so for me, I didn't look at it as a slap in the face. I mean, at first I went through
Mm-hmm.
that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Once a slap in
Yeah.
the face. But again, I really work on my mindset. So what I did was say, hey, you know what? This is a paid internship. I'm
Mm-hmm.
being paid $12 an hour to get this experience of working with industrial machinery.
You can discourage yourself, by paying attention. Well, eggs is $20, and gas is $15 a gallon, and and go on and on and on and on. But again, it's not to dismiss those things, but it does mean, okay, well, let me get with the professional who can help me position myself within the state of X, Y, and Z so that I can still get what I want. And maybe I get, instead of a 3 bath, I get a 2.5, or instead of a big backyard, it's just a little smaller one for now. But you have to change your perspective, on certain things if that is ultimately your goal.
Yeah, I really think that we're in a place where you have to be strategic, and that's kind of how it always has been, especially as far as
Yeah.
long as I've been in real estate, that's how it's always been, and I don't necessarily know if everybody approaches it that way, but strategic in a sense where, if you have something in your mind that you want, then and you might not be in the position necessarily to get it, then what is it that you're going to do and change your circumstance so that you can? Because we are in a space where, yeah, things are up, but they're continually going up in every way. And so you have to think like, okay, if I want this, so how much more income do I need? How much more work do I need to put in so that way it matches with the lifestyle that I want? And then if you can't get that, if you can't, navigate that, how can I bring people together, bring community together, bring my family together, bring, trusted friends to be able to still accomplish what I want? Right. I think that we've always been in a space where multi-generational housing is something that people don't take advantage of enough, especially in our community, where you can literally put family members together, a mom, a daughter, a sister, a brother, like we can all get a house together. And then we
Yeah.
buy that house together and we live in it for a year, we stack or we pull equity out and we get the next house. That's something that other people do in other cultures, and I think that we just don't have much trust in our community a lot of the times to do it. But then if you're not going to, then how you gonna get that? How you gonna stack? How you gonna get that money? What other income? Because one income is not enough.
That is such an awesome strategy, and you're right. We don't have that communal sense, and we could have a whole nother episode on why, that is systems, society, da, 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 da. But as it is a fact of the matter, we don't see aunties, grandma, and cousin living together anymore. It's really just, oh well, you got out at 18, and from now on you you figure it out for yourself. And so I think that's such a great conversation to have around what are the creative ways that we can work together as a community to get what we want. I asked you to fill out just a brief survey for me, just to know a little bit more about your business and your brand. And one of the words that you use to describe your brand is authenticity. So tell me why that was the word that you chose and why it's so important in what you do.
Because I think that it allows people to really know you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am all for being transparent. If you follow me on social media,
Yeah.
I make very honest posts. I ask
Mm-hmm.
honest questions. I share honest moments about my journey. Sometimes I
Yeah.
think we get so wrapped up in social media and what I call perpetration
Mm-hmm.
that we don't acknowledge the hardships. We don't acknowledge the real feelings. Like, sis,
Yeah.
I know there's times where you're like, I just don't feel like doing it. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
I won't do it. I just don't
Right.
feel like it. And people try to act like they always got the energy, that they are always on. And that's just not the case. I don't always have the energy. I'm not always on. Sometimes, sis, like if I have a weekend where I don't have to do anything, I'm not putting on any clothes.
Mhm.
I will stay in pajamas all day if I can because I don't get those moments a lot and it's easy to be burned out. So I just try to be my authentic self. And I think that people
Yeah.
really earnestly enjoy that more and they can relate to you a little bit more. I tell them stories about my, almost 15 and 16-year-old and now
Mhm.
having a 1-year old as of Thursday. I tell them
Girl.
that, although I did not birth my 1-year old, legally he's my foster son, but I don't like
Okay.
to call him that at all. So,
Okay.
my
I
baby,
was I was surely gonna say I totally missed the pregnancy pictures. I totally missed
yeah,
it, all
nah,
that, but that makes sense.
yeah, you weren't gonna see
Okay.
the pregnancy pictures. I made it very clear back in 2010. Never again.
I was
Lord willing,
like,
never again. But as soon as you tell God what you ain't gonna do, he come and just do what he want to do. So,
right, right.
it's funny. Me and my friends, we talk about that, and they're like, "You were so I ain't having no more kids." I said, "Well, I didn't have a baby, so I did not lie." And they was like, "Yeah." I said, "But it's funny how God works, right?"
It
He said,
is.
"Well,
It
you don't have
really
to
is.
birth one, but I'll give you one to take care of."
God really is like he
So,
plays a lot.
yeah,
He
yeah,
plays a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. Big time, big time.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I chose that word authenticity because I feel
Yeah.
like if people know the real, it gives them a fair expectation of what they're gonna get themselves into versus like I said, when you go on social media, Instagram, you see all this stuff and then you get in it and you're ready to quit because your stuff is not moving how everybody else's is. But it's only because
Yeah.
they give you the glimpses and the highlights of the good.
So true.
I can give you the highlights and glimpses of it, but that isn't gonna,
That's not
give
everything.
you the insight to when you got more, expenses for your business than revenue coming in, or, like I said, when you're just tired, or when you're a community leader and somebody tries you and you really want to tell them the truth of how you feel and where you grew up at, but then you're like, ooh,
Right
I
it
am a
in.
changed person, right? So please
Right.
stop trying me. So, I just try to be honest with people because it's all things that people think and feel, but they're
Mhm.
too nervous to say. And so I've learned, I've been gifted with the skill to say it in a way that everyone can understand, but still allow it
Yeah.
to be, funny and professional. And that's
Absolutely.
really, the magic about it.
Can you talk me through, because I can imagine you live one way, you're setting your ways right, you gain this weight, you make accommodations for the weight in all different kinds of ways, or excuses like you're saying, I'm gonna start on Monday. Monday never comes, but you pacify yourself, okay, next Monday. But then you said, you know, something clicked. He's asking you now for the third time. It feels like he's caring a lot more about your health than you are, but you still had to like own this decision, right? And not be no quitter anymore.
Right.
So what have been some of those things that you've had to kind of unlearn or relearn over these past 11 years to help you stay firm in your decision? I mean, obviously going through something life threatening like a stroke, but you had committed to this before that. So, you know, what were some of those things, mindset things that had to kind of change?
So the biggest um the biggest thing I had to unlearn was the all or nothing.
Okay.
I had an all or nothing attitude, right? So remember I was saying like on Monday I would start
Mm-hmm.
in the morning, but in the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon or that evening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um so I had to get rid of the mentality of all or nothing. Like
Okay.
I didn't have to be perfect,
Okay.
right, in this journey. Um yeah, I just didn't have to be perfect.
I think I get that because I think, you know, a lot of, for me, the same thing comes up like I gotta go to the gym, and then I also have to eat right, and then I also gotta drink, you know, all this water, and then I feel you feel like you have to do that overnight, you know, and
Mhm.
it's gonna have all of that is gonna happen on Monday, and then again on Tuesday, and
Yeah,
then you know, and then again, but that can be very overwhelming, you know, and unrealistic a lot of times, I think.
exactly. So it was a matter of if I didn't work out, like you were just saying, if I didn't work out 7 days, what's the
Yeah,
point?
correct.
What's the
Right, right,
point?
right, right.
Right? So I was like, okay, if I work out 2 days,
Yeah,
3 days, if I work out 2 days, if I work out one day,
yeah,
right? At least I've done something
sure.
to improve my health, right?
Mhm.
And then the other thing, I wanted to lose 20 pounds in a day,
Yes. Get it off me. Yeah.
right? So I decided, again, on that day, if I lost 1 pound a week,
Uh-huh.
that was better than nothing. And
Mhm.
I will count that as me being successful,
Yeah.
right? So that's why, and remember, I said I refuse to go on any more diets.
Mhm.
I just refuse. That crap has never worked before.
Yeah.
It's
Why would
never
it wasn't
worked,
that different now?
right? So it's definitely a lifestyle change. And then
Mhm.
one more thing. I had to get rid of the scale.
Okay.
So the scale I now know is a liar,
Amen. Okay.
right? Because I had started exercising and working out and I was looking better,
Okay.
but that number on the scale was
Mhm.
not moving. And I
Mhm.
was, I could fit into smaller size clothes. I'm like, but why is the scale
Yeah.
not moving? Right?
Yeah.
So I had to, look into taking pictures, right? To think about the size of my clothes, how they were fitting, how I
Mhm.
felt.
Non-scale journeys or
Yes.
victories, I mean.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So the NSVs, the non-scale victories.
Yes. Yes.